For those of you that were not around yesterday for whatever reason, I don't usually tell you what yesterday is, but all that, but this is the time we're going to stop and do that. We had a young lady call in with Rachel and I on the air that became apparent during the call that she was a victim of domestic violence. Which I don't even like saying that way because it sounds so antiseptic. She was a victim of her boyfriend beating the crap out of her, is a better way of saying the truth. And we determined that. And then while we were on the call, we determined he was in the room, that he had walked in and was not happy. And so it went from a financial question to a question of her safety and her child's safety and so forth on the air, live. That's pretty wicked, weird, and wild. But walked her through that a little bit. And John just happened to walk by the studio and stepped in, and I put her on hold. And he has done a lot of trauma and crisis intervention type counseling over the years, and so trained in that, but also experienced in that. So you got on the phone with her, and we were able to get the police over there very quickly. And the young man is sitting where he should be now, in a cage, which is where people like that belong. And so I think they call that a jail, but I called it a cage.
Very similar.
Either one is
Very similar.
Either one's fine with me, but they're both similar situation here. This is where this little guy needs to be. And so that was a pretty wild discussion you were having in there off air.
Yeah, I noticed at one point I didn't know who was in there. You know, you kind of zone out and try to lock. In face to face, you lock eyes, but in those situations, you lock hearts with somebody. And then I noticed you had come in there after a while. But yeah, it was intense, mainly because it was live. It was happening live, and she was not. It wasn't philosophically unsafe. She was unsafe now, and somebody else had her kid. And then you've got a mom who needs to protect herself. But I'm not going to leave my baby unprotected. And now you've got a messy situation. And whenever I show up to something like that, I'm always looking at escalation trends. Is this thing slowing down? Are people separating and they just yelling at each other? Or is it moving up? And this one moved up real rapidly. And luckily, that police department there was super responsive, and they showed up, and I'm grateful to them. And at the end of the day, man, we're talking to a really brave,